Section, we're going to take a look at the difference and advantages of using either backgrounds that are pre-made and ready for you in PowerPoint, or bringing in pictures. Sometimes you're going to decide to do one or the other depending upon what you want to do. Me personally, I tend to use more pictures and bring them in as backgrounds rather than using the built-in available backgrounds that are in PowerPoint, because I just don't think that they've got enough, doesn't allow me to reflect the flavor of either the message that I'm using it for, or perhaps the worship song that we're using it for. But there have been times when I have. So let's go ahead and look at the options and advantages of one over the other. First, we're going to pull up a PowerPoint, and I've got one here already. This is a previous message, and I've got this screen set up here. This one particular slide with just a black plain background, and I've got a little bit of text in here, and with white. I typically use white letters on a darker or colored background. It allows that to pop out better rather than black letters on a faded background. That's another technique, but once again, this is my preference. This is not gospel. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this background. First, let's talk about using the backgrounds that are built into PowerPoint. To do that, we've got this slide highlighted. You see it's highlighted over here, so we're working with it right here on the screen. Let's change this background. We're going to right click on the mouse, and very bottom we see format background. So we slide down to that and click on it. Now we've got some options here. We can choose a solid fill background, much like this is, and this is black. Well, if you pick solid fill, then you can just come down here and pick a color. Well, let's try kind of a darkish teal. So there we go. So by clicking that, it turns it to a dark teal. I'm going to slide this over a little bit. Now, what other color controls do you have? Well, you've got transparency. You can slide it and make it, see how it's making it lighter and brighter? Or if you're going to do that, you might as well just go ahead and change the color. That's the way I figure. So we're just going to slide that back to the other side. So that's its natural color choice of that dark teal. You can pick any of the colors on this color palette, or we can go that one there. You see they change instantly. Or you can go to this more colors selection at the bottom here and get this whole palette where you can really customize a color if you want. See how it changed it right there when we clicked up here? We'll say OK to that one, and it changes it to that bright green. Okay, so that's one technique, using a solid fill, and it changes the whole background of the whole slide to whatever color you select right here. The next is using gradient fills. So we'll select the next one, gradient fill. Okay, now you see what's happening here. It changes a color pattern as it moves from top to bottom, typically in the slide. So once again, we come over here. There's a bunch of presets. So any of these you can click on, and it will change the whole slide to any of these preset color patterns. For instance, this one right here, they call Ocean. There you go. It's lighter at the top and a little deeper at the bottom, kind of like a sunset effect. You can change, let's see. Let's change it again. Let's go with, it's this kind of steely color one. They call it Fog. That's a little purpley at the top and fades to light at the bottom. You see kind of a color band there. You can change the direction of the graded effect. You can move it around. You can have it do different things. You can change, as I said, change the direction, top to bottom, left to right, all kinds of things like that. But once again, you're working with just a basic color palette set. And that's okay too. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot you can do with it except change its intensity by changing the transparency. Obviously, by increasing the transparency, you're essentially making it lighter. It's as simple as that. Okay? What's the other option then if we don't want to use some of these preset colors? Let me right click again, go back to Format Background. So what if we don't want to use one of these gradients? None of these really do a good job for our slide or composition. Well, you can then select a picture. I've downloaded a lot of pictures to be used as background images, and they are, of course, in the backgrounds folder in our box synchronization set. So let's go ahead and do that instead. To do that, once again, we're over here on this dialog box, and let's get there again. Right click on the slide, go down to Format Background, and now this time we're going to tick this one right here. Picture or text fill. It automatically throws something in there, some sort of a texture. But what you can use, there's a bunch of textures here, and you may find something there that you like. A green marble effect. Maybe this sandy granite effect. But much like the gradient and the solid fills, they have their place, but there may not be a whole lot you can do with them in terms of reflecting a theme of a message or a worship song. So let's go down to, instead of working with these textures, let's go right here, insert from file. We're going to do a picture inserted from a file, and of course where we're going to go is we're going to go to our box folder. I'm just looking around for here. And let's go find it. Sometimes you got to navigate to it depending upon where you were last. There we go. And now we're going to select backgrounds. So now here's all of the backgrounds. I'm going to open this up a little bit that I've used or have downloaded or maybe already part of a worship set or a music selection. For instance, here's one I was working with, Just Jesus, which is the one we're in right now. Summer in the Psalms, there's another one. So as I scroll down here, you'll start to see some themes appear. There's an American flag, angel. There's baby images for certain messages. Bethlehem. There's Bibles, Bible backgrounds, colors, blues, and different blue effects, model blue, blue rays, blue grunges. There's a brick wall. There's a floral, a growing seed into a plant. We use that one for a message. The one we're using over here, Just Jesus, that is this image right here, but instead of using it in color, I just changed it to black and white. Going a little farther down, there's a whole bunch of Christmas theme images. Likewise, we have a bunch of Easter theme images. Cross. Those were pictures I used in a particular song. So there's all kinds of things I've already downloaded. Just color patterns as well as themes and images. So you can just grab one and start working with that. So let's go ahead and grab something here. Let's go back up to the top. Doesn't make a whole lot of difference here. I just want to show the effect of using a few different slides. So let's say we're going to let's use this blue mottled effect. So I click that, insert, and there it goes. It takes that image, that picture, and fills the slide with it. I still have the ability to change, make this darker or lighter. Whoops, sorry. I can do that by changing the transparency once again, you see. Or when I'm working with pictures, there's one other thing I can do. I can click up here on picture, and I can change it here. Make it brighter or darker by the brightness slider. I can also change the contrast. See, lower the contrast, it makes it a bit flatter. Increase the contrast, and it increases those darker tones. So there's a couple other things you can do with pictures. Sometimes we need to make it a little darker or a little bit lighter for it to show properly on the screen at church. Okay? So I like images for that reason. You can do a lot more with them. So let's change it to another one. I'm going to go back to fill. Let me pick a different one. I'll just go back to file, and instead of the blue one, let's just go ahead and grab let's see, let's grab the Bible one. So we're going to insert the Bible. So it changed it immediately. Now, here's something to show you also. One of the other presentations I talked about changing this positioning. So you see when we pulled this in, the image filled the screen, but it shows it's minus 19 at the top and the bottom. So that means there's room to move it around. So let's see what happens if we reduce this. So that's pushing the top down. So it's sliding the image down. Let me hit the top and bring that down. So now I'm preserving the proportion of the Bible. Whoops, I ran out of image. There we go. So by moving it, I've made more black and dark area for my text to appear. And it would still look okay over the Bible itself, but you also need to be careful of background images being a little bit distracting to your text. So that's something else you can do. Let's bring this rascal up. There we go. So that's another way. Just kind of bring the image back in. See how I'm just changing that bottom number. Okay, so maybe that will do for an introduction to a particular message or reading. Okay. So I personally like working with images better. You can just grab an image that reflects your theme. You can insert by right-clicking, format the background, go to the images that you've already saved. We're going to insert it from a file. Go into the backgrounds or download one and put it into the backgrounds. That way you've got it. You can use it later on. And then you can go in there and just pick an image that reflects what you want it to do. Here's Luke, or I'm sorry, here's a Christmas image. So there you go. So we'll put that up there. See how that just changes the whole theme. So that's all we want to talk about in this session, is using the right click, format background at the very bottom, and just select picture or texture fill. We're going to go picture, and we're going to insert from a file, and then we're going to go get that file from our Box Sync backgrounds, which is in the worship presentation set of files in Box Sync. You download one, you put it into this folder, so it's always going to be there for later. Okay, that's all there is.